going to do is go through a little bit with you about the Mediterranean style diet and also my own memory preservation nutrition program. And it's really amazing the things that science is learning that we personally can grab hold of and take for ourselves. Some of you came over and talked with me before earlier, and that's always a joy to me to talk about, well, these foods that are here in front of you and which ones might be especially palatable or attractive to any of you coming over. The key thing to notice is you've got a whole variety. As I said to one person, it's not just the blueberries, which are great. I mean, they're a wonderful brain food, but it's hundreds of different food items. And I'll be going into why some of them are stars both in the Mediterranean traditional diet as well as my memory preservation nutrition. The star and the centerpiece is our vegetables. There are a few fruits in this basket, or maybe not. It's all vegetables, as it should be, because really if you want to know what will save your life and your brain, it's vegetables and spices and herbs. That's where it's at. So anyway, we have these beautiful vegetables over here. We have a basket of spices. The herbs I have in here include a whole bunch of herbs from my garden. And these are all in the mint family. Some of them you know is mint because there's peppermint and spearmint. But there's also lemon balm and oregano. And they're all in the larger mint family. A lot of the most potent spices and herbs are in the mint family. So that's good to know. They're all good for our brain, and they're actually clinical trials that have been done in smaller countries, not here in the U.S., that show that some of these spices are as powerful as the only medications that are on the market today, like Ariset. For instance, lemon balm, rosemary, and saffron. Saffron, of course, isn't a green herb, but saffron actually is as potent as Ariset. They did a head-to-head trial in this one country and found that it did just as well as Ariset with no side effects.
Wow.
Yeah. And of course, there's no money in it for our drug company, so we haven't heard about that, have we? And then I have, more generally available, we've got parsley. I like the flat-leafed Italian. This is the curly, which is also good. And you might not be aware, but every herb and most vegetables actually are natural medicine chest. The thing is about the Mediterranean diet, the things that make it work are the same principles that make my nutrition program work. So I've given you a bunch of handouts that may be more than you want to read, but this first page, if you read nothing else, if you look at this one with the big picture, this will tell you the most of what you need to know. A Mediterranean-style diet lowers your risk of heart attacks and stroke by 30%. So they did a post-test without a baseline, and what they found out, and I'll tell you how they were randomized, but what they found out was people who ate more of a Mediterranean-style diet, they scored higher in all the cognitive tests that they gave them. So that's our first, and why it's significant is, this is our first major randomized clinical trial of a huge size that has this finding. People like the proteins that we need. In the plant kingdom, the only complete protein from a grain is quinoa. And how many of you have tried quinoa? Oh wow, we have a very educated audience here. Wow. And I like it because, first of all, how many of you thought it was pronounced quinoa? Right? What is this quinoa? Okay. Well, so we have to learn how to pronounce it, but once you start working with it, it's terrific because not only is it healthy, it's a complete protein, it has all the amino acids that a piece of meat would have, but it only takes 10 or 15 minutes to cook. And it's like a whole grain. And it's gluten-free, should you have that issue. So what's not to like? So part of keeping our brain healthy is to know that that's true and use our own brain to outwit the forces that be and try to choose the foods that we will enjoy, because you gotta like it. If you're trying to eat things you don't like, you're not gonna continue. So forget it. And then something that was a special part of the Spanish study was nuts. Nuts and seeds is something I've been talking about, and often I will pass out little packets of nuts in my talks. And in the Spanish study, they also believe that nuts were a really key part of keeping your brain and your heart healthy. There are a lot of studies that show nuts and seeds are great for preventing and treating diabetes as well as heart disease. The other group, because the other goal was to get people to eat more olive oil, because a lot of studies were showing olive oil is really healthy. 1 minute? Okay. So olive oil was the other key thing. They gave another group free olive oil. So what happened? The ones given the free nuts ate more nuts. The ones given free olive oil ate more olive oil. And what's interesting, both groups did equally well in terms of reducing their risk of heart attacks and stroke. Both groups also increased their fish intake and their beans and lentils. Beans and lentils turn out to be, in any of the studies they look at, really important for our brain and heart health.